Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Hearts of Iron 4, the New Order, the last days of Europe, with me, Alpha Pi Omega, and the Empire of Japan. So in the last episode, the war in Republic of China has ended, the Shinran Reconstruction Authority has been created, Seihoku Hamegun and the NRA 40th Army Group are also back. And I think that's all. I think that's all. But it was a long war that China managed to win without us, which is pretty good. We didn't have to deal with it at all. Good job, China. You made me proud. In the meantime, we finished the formation, I guess, or, we won the war in Central Africa and thus formed the Republic of Zaire, which consists of a number of states, including Leopoldville Verwaltung, but we're still fighting for the PLUAA against UNITA. Now the good news is that Zaire has joined the co-prosperity sphere, which is great. Hopefully they will retain the positive growth that they have right now, 3.09%. It might even be a little more. We're gonna have to see. And hopefully we'll be able to get PLUAA there as well if we win here. What's also kind of interesting on this entire thing is that the score has been added, and we as Dai Nippon Teikoku now have 2,872 points, while United States have 2,175 and Germany has 1,500. 1 point less, 1,499, but let's go with it, even 1,500. It's kind of interesting. We got 647 from military, which is the weakest one. 413 from economy, which is the weakest one. We got 987 from faction, which is less than USA have, but way more than Germany has. But we have 825 from victories, while USA has minus 550 and Germany has minus 300, which is actually pretty darn cool. We're basically just very smart about our actions, and that's making it good for us. Either way, we're going to continue with the story today. We had an arrest of one of the generals, and it seems like the story is unfolding ahead of us. I'm actually kind of afraid, I'm not going to lie, because some of the crises tend to close off your focus tree. So if this escalates and we're gonna lose it, it would be pretty bad, because the IRRI gives us a pretty good bonus to agriculture and research, and the temporary relief gives us a growth of GDP of 1% and poverty rate decrease, meaning the poverty rate will begin to improve, which is a decrease, and 100 political power. And then the Hakkō ichiu gives us additional 100 of political power, and administrative efficiency improves. So there is a lot to be desired here. Same with the modern mandate here. But I consider from all of these, the temporary relief is the most important one, because it's going to increase our GDP growth by a full %. Hopefully we'll be able to get that one before this closes on us. There was also a suggestion which was kind of interesting. Someone suggested that we switch. It has been a long time, but I haven't really addressed this. Down here below the inflation, you have a couple of things you can choose. We are currently going fresh off the presses, which is giving us an increase of GDP of 1%. And someone suggested we should start counting off the pennies, which is a 20% reduction of the base inflation rate, max up to 3%, which is completely useless to us. Because when you compare it to the 1% we're getting from the GDP growth, 20% from 3.6% is what? It's okay, so 10% of 3.6 would be 0.46, so we would get a reduction of 0.72, while we're getting a full % of the GDP growth here. The inflation would have to be way above 5, which never was really, to justify us going there. And I'm checking, I forgot to check actually if we ever had an inflation above 5%, but I don't think we did. Maybe during the crisis, but I think it was always below 5%. Well, either way. I was also looking at some of our expenditures here. It might do us well to cut them a little bit more, but that would, well, it would give us a bit more of a surplus. It would cut the real GDP growth. I think much more important would be for us to go with the military austerity, because that would cut the spending factor by 15%, meaning we would save roughly 1.5 billion per year, which is a significant amount of our money. But we can do it right now because it lowers the attack and defense by 20% plus organization, and we are fairly pressed in the fight against the Americans in the conflict between UNITA and PLUAA. So I'm going to avoid that for now. Either way, China demands an explanation. The telegram sent by the General Staff of the ROC arrived at the Kotei just in time for the Prime Minister's breakfast. After passing through a number of security checks, the telegram itself was delivered alongside the usual selection of plates, cups, and other crockery. As the Prime Minister read through the message between sips of green tea, a look of frank confusion followed by severe concern spread across his face. He had of course heard of General Sun's previous arrest and subsequent unfruitful interrogation by Justfield 76, leading him to believe that the man would fade away into retirement. Therefore, this news of his sudden and most of all mysterious second arrest by the Kenpetai was nothing short of extremely troubling. The matter was now worsened by the fact that the ROC General Staff were demanding answers and actions on the Prime Minister's part, and they had seemingly been aware of the issue before even himself. Breakfast ended rather quicker than usual, as the Prime Minister rushed off to contact the Home Minister. As he had no explanation as to the matter either, he demanded that it be investigated immediately. In the meantime, he would send off some vague promise of a forthcoming documentation of Sun's arrest. As the rush job of a reply was sent back to Nanjing, the Prime Minister was left with the thought that the answer the Chinese General Staff was seeking would be far more complex than anticipated. If we know anything, we'd tell you already. Okay, well, how are we doing with the army? Paranoia is 40%. We already did? No, we didn't encourage the inter-service war games. It might be worth it because the paranoia is fairly high. I could at this point promote officers for both ranks, which would give us extra 5% support for each and about 3% paranoia. Officers. But then we would or we could just go with these ones. That would be 30% paranoia and about 7.5 support for all of them. This one is brutal, but lowers paranoia by 40%. Okay, we might want to consider doing these two. We haven't touched this in a while. And I might actually combine it with the Navy and IGN promotion. So that would cost us 20 experience, 10 Army, 10 Navy. We would get additional 5 and a little bit more paranoia. But together with these, we would get extra 12.5% support from IJA and IJN, and we would eventually lower paranoia down to 15%. That sounds like a good idea, though. We don't really have that much political power right now. We do have a bill in the diet, don't we? No, we don't. Okay. Oh, we haven't finished the wartime rationing. Okay. So, now let's unpause it and continue with this one. Actually, you were supposed to help here, weren't you? The port of Luanda is going to be very good for us because it's gonna give us reinforcements here. Okay. So you could potentially cut them off here completely and we could eliminate 3 divisions here. Plus we could then push along this area. That is a fairly good choice here. So you guys are getting... Okay, you will support this. There's gonna be... Okay, no, they're coming down here. When will they arrive? 7 days and 11 hours. 10 days. If you go here, you will arrive in 3 days and... Okay, so you go there. And you're gonna go here. That way we will secure this area and we will be able to... And then this way. The Home Minister's initial report. Oh, I don't like how many events we're getting. This is gonna be bad. This is definitely gonna be really bad. For the Prime Minister attempting to keep the ROC General Staff distracted with promises of a soon-to-be-delivered explanation of General Sun's arrest. Sorry, I was distracted here. It was now up to the Home Minister to formalize a report that would hopefully rectify the increasingly concerning matter. After some dubious reluctance on the part of the Kenpetai station in Nanjing, the Home Minister was finally able to acquire a copy of the report. The initial sections of the document explain that Sun has been arrested following the Kenpetai's dissatisfaction with the previous efforts of the Jesfield 76. Following paragraphs detail the pressing urgency of acquiring proper information from the old general, with fears that the wider issue being examined by the Kenpetai might grow out of control. The Home Minister found himself more confused than ever, yet there were still more documents to examine. Sun, as it turned out, was only a small part of something much larger in scale. Oh god, we have another conspiracy, don't we? While the Japanese Secret Service had naturally dedicated much of their time to eradicating any traces of potential Chinese resistance from the ROC, they had in recent months begun to focus on potential infiltration of the Japanese army. Sun's arrest was an attempt to find a link between the resistance and any Japanese officers that might have become compromised in some capacity. With this revelation now in the hand of the Home Minister, he opted to immediately deliver his report to the Prime Minister in person. As expected, the Prime Minister was deeply concerned with the developments. There was little solace to be had in knowing that the situation in China might be truly disastrous. The Prime Minister could only hope that the Kenpetai prove more forthcoming with their information in the future. As the Home Minister exited his office, he could only stare at the document presented before him, hoping that the characters on the paper might materialize into solution. Okay, so that is a pretty interesting thing to hear. Now we're being attacked here, and I believe we're gonna repel this. We should be able to eventually. There is a tough attack here, 3 whole divisions, but we need to do this before we're able to actually encircle them here. Yep, we're winning. Okay, some of these are gonna drop from the combat very soon, and then it's gonna be done. Do we have anything here that we could do that would be cheap and good? No, we're authorizing the bombing sorties. Technical aid would be good, but yeah, I'm not spending this amount of political power on them. Yep, we have, and we got even reinforced. Amazing. Okay, good job, guys. You're doing a really good one here. And we should be getting pretty significant amount of supply in from here. From the Valley of the Dead. Okay, let me deal with this situation first. You will push them out. Okay, you can actually... No, that's not gonna work. Okay, stop that. Instead, move here. We need to make sure we take this territory. Once we repel this attack, I'll be okay with moving over here and attacking this one unit. I could even leave you guys to hold this territory for a while. Okay, so we finished the rationing. Now that means we can now go over to farm the IRRI. Nasi Gohan Sal Fan Ka. Rice is a staple crop throughout the entire co-prosperity sphere and is the life and blood for the vast majority of the sphere's population. However, many countries within the sphere have limited or outdated rice cropping facilities, with improper irrigation, outdated tools, and weak rice breeds and variants. Hence, Minister of Foreign Affairs Sakurauchi Yoshio has proposed the formation of the Intrasphere Rice Research Institute. That's actually pretty interesting. An institute dedicated to experimentation, research, and development of rice agriculture and development through Asia. A step forward for the sphere, we will show the benevolence and spirit of Japanese agricultural design. Okay, so we're moving, you're holding, causing damage. I believe this might mean that they are completely cut off from receiving reinforcements. That wouldn't be bad. If we could effectively eliminate the American units, I would be happy. From the Valley of the Dead. Okay. So, the sun was fading. The shadows got longer and longer, and the beams shining through the windows created silhouettes in the ground that were outlandishly high. Like beasts in shadow puppet show. Oh yeah, they're trying to take the territory. 10 days. 1 day and 22 hours. Gonna have to see if we can actually manage to get them in time. Or we'll probably take a detour south and then attack from here. We're taking territory from them, so that should be okay. Ikeda Masanosuke was tapping his foot on the ground anxiously. He had to get the call. For what must have been the 4th time in that hour, he checked the lines. They were not cut or bugged. The lines were secure, but no amount of reassurance would convince him so. The room was too dark. He did not like to see his own shadow. It loomed over him, followed him. It would never leave. He despised it for that. Pulling the cord on the lamp, he read through the papers again, his hands shaking as he pulled them to the light of the lamp. From Nanjing to Kempeitai, all connected to the end of the war with China. The final moments, he remembered those days, how it all seemed so clear. These papers offered a glimpse at those times, when peace in all the world was certain. And that grim photo, sitting atop the neat stack of papers, the body was unrecognizable, crushed by chunking rubble and burned to a cinder. All the evidence was coming together in the most terrifying way. It made Ikeda Masanosuke sick to his stomach. The telephone rang. Ikeda Masanosuke hesitated for a moment. His heart was beating faster than it had ever run before, faster than when the bombs hit the Enterprise or when the Germans blew up Pearl Harbor. Suddenly his gut made the choice for him, and his hands shot for the telephone. Okay, I'm really interested in seeing what's happening there. Okay, that's still gonna take 8 days. You will arrive in 2 days. In 1 day. Okay, so they will defend this territory for us. Okay, so this is looking good, generally speaking. Now I need to see once we defeat 1 day, 18 hours, 7. Yeah, we got enough time. Yeah, we can get them and eliminate these guys, and then even eliminate these units. Good job on that. 2 of these are good. Okay, we're gonna reinforce them. Actually, could you tag them here? I know that's a brutal attack, but we might still have a chance here. Okay, so we finished the research of the special forces, the special defensive methods. Okay, these ones are all ahead of time. So, as we said, we want to finish the field hospitals, and then we're gonna start working on the economy. Surgery is among the most common emergency procedures needed in the field. Oh, it's the same description as before. Okay, so this unit is screwed. We don't even need to take it. I'll just eliminate it and then attack these guys. If we can actually push the Americans out, these guys are gonna crumble like a little piece of paper. Okay, now you can go this way. This way and this way, actually. A great conspiracy. As Kempeitai reports made their way to Tokyo, it was becoming clear to the Home Minister just how truly bad the Chinese infiltration had become. All the reports had little actual basis in their claims of mass infiltration of the Japanese army. They spoke little of Daili either, instead presenting a number of theories as to which Chinese rebels were believed to still be alive and capable of directing such a plot against the co-prosperity sphere. Yet as more and more information arrived at the Home Minister's office, mere rumors and dubious theories began to transform into genuine facts. The name Dai Li began to appear in more and more reports, and as it did, so did the names of many Japanese officers. Some were believed to have willingly joined the Dai Li's cause, fully aware of their betrayal. Others were seemingly unaware of their crimes, having been misled by the multitude of agents that the Chinese had spread throughout the sphere. With each moment, with each paper that was read, with each telegram from the Nanjing Kempeitai, a conspiracy was being unveiled. Oh, that's not good. Okay, so we broke the Americans and now we're attacking these guys. That should be really easy. Yeah, Malania is gonna fall to us. Good. Okay. As the Home Ministry discovered more and more about the seemingly bottomless conspiracy, the circle of those as the Home Minister discovered more and more about the seemingly bottomless conspiracy, the circle of those he dared to share his findings with continued to shrink. He had already begun locking away any documents pertaining to Dai Li when he left his office for even a moment. He had dismissed his usual assistants too, preferring to copy each file by himself. Another safe, if tedious, measure. For now, he would continue to report to the Prime Minister and only ever in person. If anyone else was to hear of Dai Li, it would be on Kempei's authority. Okay. Okay, they penetrated a little bit of our territory over here. Yeah, we're already pretty much winning this. It's gonna be another glorious victory for the sphere. So the conspiracy, Kempeitai, Dai Li, is actually really scary, isn't it? Okay, so can we push further in here? We could, but we won't be able to hold. So let us actually rest. In the meantime, while you're resting, you can actually make a plan for attack here. Modernizing the department. Agency upgrade finished. Okay, so let's build a couple more. This one cost 8. Actually, no. You know what? We need those factories. We need to modernize our army significantly, and by that I mean we need more factories working on you and more on you. So that's 4 and we need more working on the APC, so that's 8. And we're gonna invest heavily into military, unfortunately, but that's just how it has to be. Okay, so the Great Conspiracy needs to be figured out. You can attack over here, and while you'll be resting, we'll start building up an attack bonus. The West Russian Revolutionary Front has avenged the humiliation of the Winter War, reclaiming the rightful land from the Republic of Finland. Where is now my son beloved? In the kingdom of Manila? Sow thy crops, thou dread Tuoni, harrow well the fields of Kalma. Okay, they got them in this area, but they still got Viipuri at least in this area. Though I fear that might not be long lasting. Well, to see. Now we're gonna be soon done with the oil imports, so at that point I can actually do a little bit more with that. Okay, I'll join you in that. I'm not sure if you can get a plotting bonus while you're moving. I don't think you can, yeah. Russian victory in the Caribbean War. When news first broke of Russian troops crossing the Russo-Finnish border into Onega, they were first disregarded as another raid for scraps. When the Russian forces ignored the communiques sent their way and poured into Finland proper, it was assumed that the small but elite Finnish army could make a turnabout and send the Russians fleeing back into Siberia. Every prediction made about Russia has turned out to be incorrect, as the news of this morning has proven. Following the resignation of President Rehniemi, the newly inaugurated President Kauno Klimova has announced on live television that Finland is faced with no other choice but to conditionally surrender to the Russian army and cede both Eastern Karelia and the Kola Peninsula. Finnish hegemony has been broken forever, and Finland has entered the darkest crisis in its history. What Bukharin couldn't do, an impoverished statelet did. Surprise, surprise. You're not getting any plotting bonus. You got 20. It's gonna be pretty good when we attack this area. So which one is the most valuable? This one? Lukapa, Remo. So it would make sense to move northwards, but it's gonna be really hard with the enemies so close. How's it going? We almost got them. We need just one more. So Remo is gonna be the obvious choice. Namibia defeated Omamboland. Okay, good for them. The army minister's proposal. So we're gonna strike here and then move to Remo, and that should end the war. The prime minister was not exactly sure what he was expecting, and his army minister also did not seem to know with certainty. Wait, hold on, let me just check. Repealing the national mobilization law. Okay, it is currently likely to succeed. We're gonna further increase our GDP by 0.5%. Good, we get enough support in House of Peers and supportive MPs. Good, I'm just getting a little bit worried that I ignored that. The Prime Minister was not exactly sure what he was expecting, and his army minister also did not seem to know with certainty what exactly he should expect. They sat down in the cabinet, and for a few minutes they were completely silent. He couldn't expect anything outright. Orders, suggestions of resignation, very forceful demands of explanation, or immediate concessions. Instead, the army minister heavily sighed, and he seemed to be struck as heavily by this news as him. I thought I could trust them, he said. I really thought so. Okay, so what's going on here? Are we being attacked? We are being attacked. But I think we can survive if we attack and take Remo quickly. That should end the war. So how fast do we get there? 1 day. Okay. The Prime Minister silently nodded. The General stirred up his tea, not looking the Prime Minister directly into his eyes. I just wonder how we got here. I don't actually think DEFCON is important, he said. What is important is that the army is no longer the paragon of virtue. The men in high ranks working with such war criminals and enemies of the Empire? Madness, pure madness, but it's all true. The leader of Japan's civilian government sighed. We shall conduct an investigation immediately to find out the traitors and deliver justice, he promised. Yes, I know, the army minister sighed. You know how this works, those are my conditions. Half an hour later, they were already set in place. The investigation was supposed to be swift, decisive, conclude swiftly and in limited scale. The army demanded some sort of ability to influence the investigation, although the details would be discussed later. The army minister also asked for the Prime Minister to inform him regularly of progress. Although the conditions were downright insulting for the elected Prime Minister of Japan, he felt down in his heart that there is not much choice. We are in no position to deny. Okay, so this is pretty good. The moment we repel this attack, we can strike them again and push them out. Though I really think this might have been the last nail in the coffin. Nope, we need one more city. So we're gonna have to attack. So these guys are retreating. We're striking at the American motorized unit. Let's build up a pretty good bonus. Are these guys staying there? If they are, then this is a wonderful opportunity. Picking a chief investigator. Okay, we say move like this. We're gonna destabilize this area and thus encircling the American division over here and destroying it. Okay, that sounds reasonable. Anyway, I'm gonna end the episode here. We pretty much got UNITA under control right now, so it's just gonna be a couple more moments. We're saving a lot of political power here. I'm thinking we're not gonna invest in the foreign policy, but we're gonna look at the army and start with that in the next episode. And I would like to lower that paranoia significantly. So we're gonna take probably the inter-service training, encourage inter-service war games, and then promote the officer. We can take the 3% paranoia if we reduce it by 27% altogether. So anyway, thank you very much for joining me. See you in the next one.